So today we are working on my workshop itself. This has been a work in progress for quite some time, and we're nearing the end. We've got ourselves a fully functioning workspace, just about everything we need to build the cars we've been building. But as we've been so focused on the projects that the shop was meant to facilitate in, we've neglected the shop itself. And there's quite a large list of things that I want to do to make this a better, more efficient, more aesthetically pleasing, more enjoyable workspace. And those kind of things will pay dividends in the long run when it comes to working on the projects themselves. And we finally have a little bit of time set aside, a little bit of a break from the car projects to knock out some shop projects. And boy, do we have a lot of shop projects to do, but in the end, it's gonna be well worth it. It should be a pretty big transformation of this place. So that being said, if you haven't followed along with this saga, it has been a bit of a saga. We have been working on building out this shop for almost 2 years now, and it's not for a lack of effort or a lack of trying, it's just permitting. If you've done any permitting, you know how that goes. Basically, we started out with an old building that was built here when the house was built. Now, the problem was that building ended about here, and then the rest of this was open, basically like a carport. So when I got this house, my intent was to close it in and have an enclosed workspace just like this. However, city planning doesn't like one-off projects. They like set in stone, cut and dry, copy-paste construction plans. So after spending about 5 months trying to get the permit to do that, it ended up just being simpler to tear it down and build a whole new building, which is obviously what we did. So once we made it through that process, which was really the big hang up, the rest of it went together pretty quickly. We got the building insulated with 3 inches of closed cell spray foam. We did a 100 amp electrical service, got our equipment installed, air lines, AC units, toolboxes, all the stuff we need to work on projects. But even with all of that stuff, the shop's still lacking in a lot of ways. There's still a lot of things that could be improved. And again, a list that seems to be growing by the day of projects that I want to get done to get this place to 100%. And the goal is gonna be to knock out all of them. Now, that being said, it is a lot of projects. If I want to get them done, we need to get to it. So first project on the chopping block is upgrading my welding table, because some of the projects we have planned are gonna require the use of a big welding table. So I wanna get this one done and out of the way, and then we can just keep on moving down the line, knocking these projects out one by one until we get this place where we want it. Should be a pretty exciting transformation. So that being said, let's get to work. So these fab wings, as they're called, are the same kind of material and setup that our welding table is. It's called tab and slot. So it's basically like a little puzzle that you put together. You clip these all together, they slot into each other, and then you just weld the slots out. It is about as easy of a fab project as it can get. It's really not even a fab project, more of a weld project. So these go together pretty easy. I've had them since I got the table. I just didn't have enough room originally with having the table in the old shop or in the garage to set them up and weld them out and build the table and make it even wider. So it's something I've been excited to do, but it's been pushed to the back burner. So with those done, I went ahead and welded up one of these squares as well. I wanted to just see how they kind of came out, see what their size was, and if I wanted to build the other ones that I have. It's not something I've needed to use just yet, but again, we will in the future projects. So after that, it's time to strip this thing down. 1, so we can clean everything. 2, so we can get these wings added on. So we get everything out from under it, we get the welders moved, get all of that sorted out, and then we need to take off our outlets. So we have this setup where we've got one cord coming down and then an outlet on each side, so you don't have to unplug one welder to plug the other one in. You're never using both at the same time, but it's easier to leave them both plugged in and just turn on whichever one you want to use. But these need to bolt on where our wings bolt on. So we need to get those on first and then see if we can get these back on. These come with these cool little bolts with shoulders on them. So they just slip in with a slot and then you tighten them down, and then we got to finagle this outlet back on. It does not want to fit. This wing kind of covers up a lot of the holes that we were using, And with this flexible metal conduit, it's not the most flexible thing in the world, so it was a little bit of a struggle. But with a little creativity and changing the mounting location, we were able to get them bolted back on and then move on to the last couple of things, one of which being my TIG rod holder. So I made this little bracket to hold all my TIG rod holders, TIG rod holder, and I just bolted to the table so they're right there, easy to access. And with that done, we've just got to decide where we want to put it and test it out. All seems well, doesn't rock, seems to hold my body weight just fine, just saying something. So we can call that done and dusted. Now, we need to do a little shopping trip. We need more storage and we need some other items for the shop. So we went to the store, picked up a few little additions to the shop. We may have gone a little crazy, got a little more stuff than we needed, but hey, you can always use more shop supplies and shop equipment, right? All right, table extensions are on. Table's pretty much put back together. Got my TIG rod holders back on. Definitely a big improvement. We got a lot more surface area, which we were definitely in desperate need of. So before I start putting everything back here, I would like to try to minimize the stuff underneath because it's nice to be able to move the table around if we do put a car in this area sideways, which we do here and there. But in order to not put stuff down there, we need another place to put stuff, so we went and got another big shelf. This is basically, I think it is the exact same shelf I have over here. They're kind of like mini pallet racks. It's the same kind of concept as a pallet rack. But these work pretty well. They handle a lot of weight, so as you can see, there's really no more wall space to put this, but we are going to block the door with it, essentially. So I hate the idea of blocking the door, but the door is kind of obsolete. Eventually, I'd like to build onto the back of the shop with a lean-to, and then the door will be useful. But for right now, we don't use it for anything. The whole purpose, and the reason I put a door there when we built the building, was because I wanted to get cross flow. So if you have the front doors open and the back door open, you get a lot more air movement through the building than you would if you just had front doors. You didn't have any exit for the air. However, when I decided to do that was before I ended up insulating and ACing the building, and now we just leave the doors closed all the time with the AC on. So this door doesn't get used. So as painful as it is to block a door, we need the space, we need the storage room. We're gonna put the shelf right here. We also got a little stand for our wheel dollies. Those are one thing that are just kind of always kicking around in the way, and something I've wanted for a while. We got a new jack. They came out with these, this cherry metallic red jacks, and I have this one that I've had for a while, and it's definitely the best jack I've had. It's a very solid jack. So we're gonna rotate this one into the trailer. This will now be the at the track trailer jack, and replace it with this one. It's the little things. So the first step was to get all this stuff that is accumulated in this corner out of the way. Now, this wouldn't be such a problem if we didn't already have wheels and tires stored in the garage. There's no point in having them stored multiple places. So we stripped the tires off these wheels so we can at least take those to the dump. We get our dolly rack set up so we can get those out of the way. And then it's time to build out our shelf. Again, it pains me to build a shelf in front of a door. It's one of those things you just don't do, but we gotta do what we gotta do. So I get these from Lowe's. I think this one was $309 on sale. They're normally around $300, $350. They work really well. And the cool thing is you can set up the height of your shelves, which is always one of those things that you start second guessing yourself on. But I took a different approach than I did with my last one, just because I found that I didn't need as much space on the top shelves, but sometimes could use more on the bottom. So that's how we set this one up. We'll see how it pans out in practice once we start getting things on it. But once we get it all built and the frame put together, all we got to do is put our shelving on, and then we've got a completed shelf. And these things will swallow up a lot of stuff. I mean, this one shelf can make a huge difference in storage. So with that set up, we get some stuff put on it and then try to start organizing this back corner with some of our shop equipment. This is the stuff that can just be in the way constantly, and it's tough to find a place for it because it's so big and bulky, but luckily most of it rolls, so you can kind of pack it all in a corner and not have to worry about it. So now that we know we don't have to put anything back under the welding table, we can start getting the welding table set back up and get everything back ready to go, so whenever we need it, it's operational. And then take a step back and see how everything looks so far. All right, well, making good progress so far. What a drastic improvement. The welding table is fully cleared off. Simple, only the things that need to be there are there. And as you can see, we got all the stuff out from underneath. I'm moving it to the shelf. We got welding supplies, more welding supplies, cold cut saw, plasma cutter, things like that up here. And we still have a ton of storage space left. We got a lot of the shop equipment organized over here. So we got the wheel dollies, scales, alignment stuff, oil drain, drainage jack, lift jack. Overall, huge improvement just organizing those few things. That stuff was all spread out everywhere. The welding table was a mess. So we still got a bit to do in that department. This is really the next area we need to tackle, is figuring out where we're gonna put the sim rig. I decided to move it from my office into here just so that it'd be easier for friends to play it when they come over and clear up some space in there. But again, we're limited on wall space, so we gotta be choosy. We gotta find a good place for it. But before we do that, I wanna take advantage of the daylight and do a couple outside projects. So let me show you what I got first. This should help a ton. This is gonna make a really big difference. I've had it sitting in this shop for months now, and we're finally gonna install it. So what we have here is an awning for the entry door. Florida, it rains a lot. Whenever it rains, as you're fiddling with the door, unlocking it, opening it, you're getting poured on by the overhang. So this is gonna be a nice little awning, help keep the rain off you when you're getting into the shop, and be able to open the door if need be and not have a bunch of rain get in. So we just gotta figure out how we're gonna install this. Okay, we don't need those. We're going into a steel building, not concrete. So we gotta see if we got the right hardware for this first. All right, well, the awning's up. Not too bad for a cheap little Amazon find. Pretty much the perfect width to cover the door too. Not a fan of the clear, kind of smoked color. It's just kind of brown, but it was either that or completely clear. So we got that done, but we did run out of daylight because while I had the ladder out, I went ahead and tackled another project that's been on my list for a while, and that is replacing all of my security cameras. So I wasn't the biggest fan of the ones that I had, and one of them ended up going bad, and I needed to buy another one. So I took the opportunity to just switch to a different camera brand, because the ones that I had, basically, they only record if you pay a monthly fee for the cloud storage, and that monthly fee is per camera. So every camera you add, you've got to pay that monthly fee again. And it adds up when you've got 5, 6, or 7 cameras, you know, and it makes you not even want to add cameras because you don't want to pay the monthly fee. So I just decided to take that as an opportunity to switch to a different brand that doesn't require a monthly fee, because it does have like onboard storage. And I'm glad I did. Now I can add as many cameras as I want and not have to also factor in the monthly cost of each one. So if you're buying cameras, you know, security cameras, definitely look into that. I didn't realize that until I had bought a few of them for the house and the shop, and realized it when I was putting them in. So don't be like me, do your research. But that being said, we're out of daylight, so it's time to dive into getting this section set up. This is gonna be real satisfying because this has been a cluttered mess for a while now, and I'm very excited to have it fully functional. So you know the deal. I'm gonna quit jibber jabber and we're gonna get to it. So as I mentioned, this corner is the absolute worst in the shop currently. It was one of those corners where I took everything out of the office while I was renovating it, and just kind of tossed everything here thinking I'd get back to it in a couple of days, which turned into a couple of weeks, which turned into, I don't know, a month of this stuff just sitting piled up in the corner. So this is going to be a really nice one to get done and get cleaned up. It's just one of those things, when you have a bunch of stuff cluttered up, it just attracts more stuff. The more stuff you have in an area, the easier it is to just dump something there in the meantime, and the next thing you know, you've got a mountain of stuff in your way. So we get it all moved out and then start working on organizing it back in. So we decide where we want to put the sim. This is a tough decision. Again, we're trying to maximize wall space, but we also want it to be in a decent spot. And then we need to get it roughly put back together, at least so that way it's not so far off. To get it in and out of the room, you have to take it halfway apart. So I wanted to get it at least bolted all back together, get the stuff roughly in place, so whenever we're ready, it's not too much work to get it going again. So with it set up, I went ahead and decided to build my old desk and get that set up next to it. So we have a place to put things in the short term, the computer, the monitors, all of that stuff. So again, if we do want to play it right away before we make the changes we want to make, we can. If not, we at least have a place to put some stuff for now, because we don't really have anything else that needs to go there just yet. All right, sim rig is set up, well, somewhat set up. It's still not hooked back up yet and operational, but it at least has a home, got the mat, got everything. This is just temporary. So the plan is to basically mount the PC itself on the wall here, mount this monitor on the wall here as well with one of those tilty mount deals, and then mount this monitor, since it's curved, right on the sim. I think if I put it right above the wheelbase, it should completely cover your field of view, and then we can play the sim without having to use VR. So once we do all that, we can obviously get rid of this desk, because I'd like to put a love seat here, and ideally a mini fridge, one of those cool energy drink mini fridges. That's the goal. I don't know if we really have enough room, but basically just move all that stuff on the wall, because again, we need all the wall space we can get. Now obviously we don't need to have the sim in here, we don't need to have a couch in here, but kind of one of those things. Until we get the loft built, this is kind of where they have to go. Once we get that done though, we should be able to put them upstairs. That's a long-term plan. So the next thing I want to do is tint the windows. So I've had this for a while, like all these other projects we've been doing, sitting in the corner. We're gonna basically tint them with pretty much one-way tint, so that way people can't see in here at night, and keep some of the sun out when the sun's on that side, just kind of beaming in. So let's knock it out. So this is a project that I have put off for a while. I am just terrible at sticker application, wrapping stuff, and obviously that's going to translate to tinting. It's just not my forte. It's not my thing. There's a lot of things I like to learn and be self-sufficient in. This isn't one of them I really care to do or do well, but hey, we got to get it done. Something's better than nothing. I'm sure we can do a decent enough job. So basically this stuff's sticky, and you use dish soap to clean the windows, and then you have to basically have everything wet with water and soap when you apply the film, so that way you can move things around and work the air bubbles out of it. It was actually surprisingly easy to get most of the air out of it. I just didn't do the best job when it came to cleaning it ahead of time. So then if you have a dirty window, obviously it's going to show through. You're going to end up with dirt under the film, which is kind of what I ended up with, but we got it done. We got it on, and it makes a pretty big difference. At night, it's not as drastic as I would have hoped. You know, you can't see in super well, but you can still see in. It does block a lot of the light going out and isn't such a eyesore just having the light blasting out of the windows at night. But it's also not, you know, one-way tint like I was kind of hoping it would be, but it's something. So let's get this other one knocked out. All right, got that one done and got the back ones done. I mean, I gotta say, they do look pretty cool from the inside. They don't do as much from the outside at night as I thought they would. I'm sure in the day it'll help a lot, but you can still see in reasonably well. But better than nothing, I guess. We got it done now. Looks like we got mirrors on the wall. So while I'm thinking about it, I had to move my press brake here, and it reminded me that I have a project to tackle on it. So this is my press brake. It's a Swag off-road finger brake in a Harbor Freight press. I recently upgraded to this air over hydraulic ram, so I don't have to sit here and pump it. Just push this lever. However, this lever is broken, and it allows air through, so it basically just tries to go all the time. So instead of just replacing it with another one, this is kind of inconvenient when you're trying to hold a piece anyway. So what I got is a foot pedal. So I'll put this down here, and then work it like that while you hold the piece up here. So pretty excited about this. We've got this little hose to run up here. We just got to put some fittings and ports and stuff in this guy. So this pedal had 3 ports on it, and I wasn't sure which one we needed to use, and the first one I tried was basically, it's got air all the time, and then when you press the pedal, it blocks the air. We need the opposite. We need to press the pedal and give it air, so we just gotta switch them and see if it works now. Sweet, super simple project. Been putting that off forever. Now it's fixed. I thought I'd wait till today to show you how they work during the daytime. In the daytime, got nothing. So they're definitely doing their job. So with that out of the way, we've got most things set up, moved around, all of that good stuff. We've got the big stuff out of the way. Now it's time for the tedious part. I've been working on organizing. We've got stuff just mixed in everywhere. I mean, this thing has vacuum caps, drill bit sharpener, heat gun, adhesive spray. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it, just stuff got set wherever it could go at the time. And we now have the places to put the stuff. We've just gotta go through and move everything. Like this shelf is bursting at the seams. It's so hard to get to anything because you got stuff on top of stuff. Moral of the story is this is going to be a very tedious, very time consuming process. So I'm just gonna put some music on and get to it, and I'll show you what I come up with. All right, mission accomplished. We got all of our small parts organized. There's still some random stuff in the garage that we'll need to sort in here. At least this isn't a complete disaster anymore, and it's organized. Only the stuff that needs to be here is here. And then over here, we got our shelf sorted out. So much better than before. And a lot of this stuff's going straight on the vet as soon as we're done with the shop. So most of this shelf will be emptied. So we've got room to grow, which is always important. Got parts for the next project. Oh, what a satisfying thing. Now, that being said, we do still have a lot of organization in our future when we find some time. I basically need to strip everything out of my container. I want to put lights in it, but I need to take everything out of there, everything out of the house garage, organize it all, and rearrange it back into wherever, the garage here or the container, so everything's in the right place and everything's organized and everything is easy to get to. So I don't end up buying stuff that I already have because I can't find it or I can't get to it. But that is definitely an undertaking, and ideally we'll do it once we have the loft in here and have more room to store stuff that we're gonna access often in here. Right now, we're still pretty limited on that front, but all I've really got left to do is take all of my wiring stuff in these 3 totes and all of my AN lines and fittings in these 3 totes and organize them into this toolbox. That's where we're gonna have those 2 things. So that's probably, it's gonna take me some time, but other than that, the shop is finished up. Sim setup, pack out boxes organized, shelves organized. Aside from those boxes that have to go out with the trash, no more clutter. What a satisfying feeling, man. I gotta tell you, if you're ever struggling for motivation, clean your workspace, whether it's an office or a garage or a shop or an entire business. It doesn't matter. If you clean your workspace, a clean workspace is a clean mind. If you have all your stuff organized, it's a lot easier to stay organized in your head, at least for me. So that being said, that's pretty much it. We still do have some projects to do long term. The loft, which, hopefully we'll get to that sooner than later. Short term, we've got some more equipment to build and set up. We need to build a big, giant rolling workbench, get that all sorted out. So there's still some shop stuff to do, but at least for now, we can get back to work on the projects, on the cars themselves, with kind of a clear mind in a clean and organized shop. And gotta tell you, man, there's no better feeling. So that being said, I am gonna go ahead and end it here. This took way longer than I anticipated. So that's gonna be it for this one, but I do hope to see you next time. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, goodbye.